Where do you think, where does this leave the FA? What direction do you think the Football Association are going to go?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, is it? They would like to appoint an Englishman for a number of reasons. They have invested a lot of stock in St George's Park, the national base, and they see that as being, the pathway not just for players but also for coaches to come through to the elite level. And you've got to remember, Gareth Southgate joined the FA as head of elite development in 2011, and he kind of came through the ranks, if you like, at the FA. He was England under-21 manager in 2016, and then he, as Ian said, he succeeded Sam Allardyce later that year. So ideally, they'd like to see someone of that ilk come through who understands English football, understands the heritage, understands the problems and where things have been done well, and can probably pick up the best of what Gareth has done in the last 8 years and try and take it forward. Now, that would lend itself most logically to Lee Carsley, in theory. He's the current England under-21 manager, but he's not really got any senior management experience whatsoever outside of academy level. He had a few interim positions, I think, at Coventry, Bradford, maybe Birmingham as well. But he's not managed at a top level. So that's a huge ask for him to suddenly step up and be dealing with these big names. And then you look at Eddie Howe and Graham Potter, the bigger English names at the head of the market at the moment. And they're not, I wouldn't say either of those are particularly convincing either. I mean, Graham Potter, my understanding was that had Gareth gone earlier, maybe a couple of years ago, I think Graham Potter had his admirers at the FA and he would have been the name that they would have turned to. But of course, he had that very disappointing spell at Chelsea where the scrutiny kind of got to him a little bit. He wasn't really able to impose his style of play. I mean, look, Chelsea obviously is a kind of a basket case of a club at certain times, particularly at that time when the takeover had just taken place. So it's perhaps harsh to judge Potter solely on what he did and not look at the bigger picture there. But still, there's a question to ask about how much that has damaged his reputation. And that leaves Eddie Howe. But, Eddie Howe's done a really good job at Newcastle. He's obviously got them into the Champions League for the first time in 20 years, built a team that plays good football, that's solid and aggressive. But he's got a contract, multi-year contract. My understanding is that I think he's through to 2027. So Newcastle aren't going to want to lose him. That's going to mean the FA would have to pay significant compensation if it is that long a contract. And we don't really know whether Eddie Howe even wants it. So if those are the English options, it then leaves the FA with the opportunity of saying, well, OK, do we go overseas? Do we look for a foreign manager? Didn't work particularly well in the past. They've appointed 2 foreign managers in their history, Sven-Göran Eriksson and Fabio Capello. Neither of them were able to deliver the success that the FA craved. But you do look at Pochettino and Thomas Tuchel, who are the 2 probably logical out-of-work managers, and they've got good pedigrees. Pochettino obviously has got a strong relationship with managing in England. He's managed at Tottenham for 5.5 years. He had that season at Chelsea. He loves English football. He stayed in London quite a lot. He had that brief spell at Paris Saint-Germain as well, which obviously, winning the French league with Paris Saint-Germain, not necessarily the toughest task in management, but he has done it. He has experience managing those top players. And my understanding is that if the FA wanted to speak to Pochettino, he would be open to it. Also worth mentioning with Pochettino that John McDermott is the technical director at the FA. He worked with Pochettino at Tottenham, and I think their relationship still to this day is very good. And then you look at Tuchel, who of course has the Champions League winning pedigree, also managed in England, speaks fantastic English, wants to be in the Premier League, loves English football. As I remember ESPN doing an interview with Tuchel when he was at Bayern Munich saying, I'm more respected in England than I am in Germany. So I think that would have its appeal, but the FA have got this fundamental conundrum, which is we promote St George's Park. We think fundamentally it should be an Englishman who takes it over, but really the best candidates are actually overseas, foreign-born managers. And what does it say about all the work we do at St George's if we go for a foreign manager as the England coach?
What do you think of those names that we've seen there on that list, guys?
Some good names, but, best manager on the list is Jurgen Klopp, but that's unlikely, very unlikely for various reasons. And I absolutely take James's point there that you sort of, it's a juxtaposition, isn't it, really, for the FA, because they're spending all this money. But sometimes you've got to think, right, we are doing that, but this might not be the right time to bring somebody through from from this programme, and it might be time to go outside again and wait. I don't know. It's a very difficult scenario. He was a super safe pair of hands, wasn't he, Gareth Southgate? There's no getting away from that. Both from on the field, which it didn't seem at the time. Let's not forget, when he first took over, he was not going to be this safe pair of hands. It wasn't going to be great at all in most people's eyes. But it turned out it was super safe. In fact, it was better than that. And it was also pretty much squeaky clean off the field, which the FA love as well. So it was a sort of almost a perfect scenario. So I have no idea which way they're going to go. I wouldn't mind somebody like, from an outsider obviously, but I wouldn't mind somebody like Pochettino or Tuchel. I think they're highly experienced, and I think the players would respect them as well. Obviously there'd be a bit of a fan backlash, a little bit, as there usually is, but that would probably be, that would probably come and go. So who knows what direction they're going to go?
If it's an Englishman, Eddie Howe, to me, seems the perfect candidate.
I think so.
You know, we've been sitting talking about Southgate's England, and it's about how they play. You know, Eddie Howe went to Newcastle, to a place that's culture was about getting men behind the ball and surviving. He very quickly changed that mentality into attacking football. If there's one thing England needs right now, with the team they have and the players they have available, it's a change of mentality to step forward and go and win games and not do what Southgate's been criticised for. So if it's to be an Englishman, Eddie Howe's the perfect
Which
candidate.
is the more attractive proposition for Eddie Howe right now, to continue at Newcastle or to go and take the England job?
I think to go and take the England job, because I think they hold him in high esteem at Newcastle,
Yeah.
but I think it can change in a whim. I mean, it really can.